everyone, welcome to my channel and my October reading wrap-up. I'm Shayne, I write romantic fiction, and in today's video I'm chatting about how I fared in this year's Gothtober Readathon. Gothtober is a Gothic readathon that's hosted in October by Olivia at Olivia's Catastrophe, Hannah at Ladette M, and Tish at With Love Tish, and I will have their channels down in the description box. So, I have my list of prompts, I have the books that I picked for the prompts, and let's see how I did and get into it. Okay, the first prompt that I got was a book with a comfort trope. I was a little confused at first about comfort trope. At first I thought it meant, oh, a trope that I find comforting. But I did a little Google search, and what came up was that a comfort trope in a book is when one character is hurt either emotionally or physically, and the other character comes in and comforts them or rescues them or helps them in some way. So I picked Phantom by Greer Rivers. I heard about this book last year from another booktuber and was intrigued by it. And then I found out that the author is in the same agency that I'm in. So that was even more reason to read this book. And I finally got to this year. It is a dark romance. It is a Phantom of the Opera retelling. It has two characters. The two main characters are Saul. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It is short for Solomon. And he is one of the sons of interest in a mafia family in New Orleans. And his family sort of controls like the French Quarter area, and they are in competition with another mafia family that controls like the Garden District. And when the story opens, they're sort of jockeying for territory, shall we say. Saul is also somebody who has suffered a terrible trauma when he was in his teens, and that very much defines who he is now, emotionally and physically. He becomes obsessed with one of the students at the school that that his family owns. It is an opera school, and she's one of the students. And he becomes obsessed with her for a couple reasons. One of which is that he suspects that she's connected to his family and to what happened to him in the past. Her name is Scarlett, and she is sort of reeling from the murder of her father, and also discovering that she has a bipolar disorder and has to take medication for that. The murder of her father actually triggered the incident that got her hospitalized and diagnosed. And so it's the story of them and how their story unfolds. He is obsessed with her. He's watching her from the shadows, watching her from the underground. His family has built this whole underground system in the French Quarter so that he can sort of do his business in secret, but also just pop up whenever he wants to. And he's keeping his eye on her, and he starts sending her love letters in the form of song compositions because she can hear him practicing his piano, because the sound filters through the tunnels and into her room, and she can hear him, and she starts like singing along and coming up with her own words. And this sort of sparks his creativity, because this is one of the ways in which he sort of soothes himself, sparks his creativity, so he keeps sending her more songs. And she, of course, is like, who is this mysterious person sending me songs? And she's a little bit scared, but also very intrigued. So this is their story. And the thing that makes this book check off the comfort trope is that there is a pivotal plot point where she has a panic attack. And he, because he's watching her from the shadows, he sees this and he swoops in and whisks her away to his lair to protect her and keep her, because her biggest fear is being hospitalized again. So he is like, I will not let that happen to you. So that is Phantom, a Phantom of the Opera dark romance retelling for comfort trope. Okay, next on my list is the first book in a new series. So for that one, I picked That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. That is a book that's been on my list for a while. I see it keep popping up on BookTube, and people say that they had a great time with it. And I too had a great time with it. So it is about it's a fantasy, and it's about a spice farmer. She's like the daughter of a spice farming family, and her big goal in life is to just have a nice quiet little life tending to her spices and maybe get a cat. And she is celebrating with her friend, and she's walking home in the, through the dark countryside, a little bit tipsy, and something happens where she sort of inadvertently rescues somebody who turns out to be a demon. And because she rescued him, he's like, okay, I have now selected you to help me on this quest to conquer this evil witch. And she's like, I don't want to do this. And he's like, you have to, otherwise I'll kill your family. Oh, maybe not the greatest start to a relationship, but this book is very much, not tongue-in-cheek, but it's very sassy, it's funny, it's humorous. It has a lot of DNA from things like The Hobbit. It's very much a quest, accomplish these tasks to complete your mission, collecting allies and foes along the way. It was a really great time. You have to be sort of okay with this. Annoying characters may just get taken out, and you have to be okay with like, oh, okay, they're gone. We're just going to keep on trucking. But if that is fine with you, I think you'll have a great time with this story. It is the first in the Mead Mishaps. I think that's the name of the series, Mead Mishaps, and I'm actually kind of interested in reading the second one, which is That Time I Accidentally Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. Yes, that sounds great. So that was my book for first in a new series. And then next up, we have a book with multiple POVs. So for that one, I selected The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. That one has 2 points of view. It goes between Alba and Elias, who is the male love interest. And it's set in the late 1700s in what is now Mexico, but back then it was called Nueva España. So it's kind of taking place during early colonial times. And Alba is a daughter, she's like the adopted daughter, ugly duckling, shall we say, of this rich merchant family. Who owns a silver mine. So that's how they get their riches. So silver mining is a huge part of this story. And she is trying to make sure that she does not get married off to some creep that she doesn't like, because this is very much the time when marriages were strategic and they were based on, property and wealth and standing and status. And women often did not have a lot of choice or get like what they wanted out of the situation. It was kind of like what's best for the family, or what's best for your future as far as your comfort and being taken care of. And so I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be stuck with these people that I don't know and did not choose. So she strikes a deal with her like childhood friend, who also has his reasons for not wanting to get married off. And she's like, look, we get married, we're friends, we understand the deal, we'll give each other our space, but we can, there's something in it financially for both of us, and then our families will get off our back. So that's her deal. And then Elias is actually the black sheep cousin of Alba's new fiance, who is being sent from Spain to the silver mine, basically to make enough money to pay off his family's debt. So that's the setup. And it's told from both of their points of view, because when they meet, there's a little bit of attraction there, but there's also, of course, a forbidden love, because she's engaged and her fiance hates him. So that is Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas for multiple POVs. Okay, the next up is basically a book that's a little worn around the edges. So like a secondhand book or a book that's been around for a while. So for that one, I picked Rebecca because this is a book I've been trying to read all year. And this one actually, I'm still working on it. Still working on it. But look, I will get it done this year. Just maybe not in time for this Gothtober Readathon, which ends in a few days. Like a few days after I film this. But it's secondhand, it's yellowed, it has ripped edges, torn pages, it has bent edges, the whole like cracking, spine cracking thing. And so Rebecca, classic Gothic book by Daphne du Maurier about an unnamed narrator. I don't think we ever get her name, at least not so far. Young woman who sort of works as an assistant to a wealthy woman, and when she's accompanying her on a trip to, wow, I'm blanking out on the name. It's that beautiful place in like Italy, near Italy or France, where a lot of people love to go to vacation and have rich, luxurious times. Not Monterey. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. But she's on like a trip with her to this nice place, and she meets this older man who is sort of, oh, here we go. Monte Carlo. Oh. She meets Mr. De Winter, who is this wealthy widow who has this beautiful home, and they kind of hit it off, even though they're kind of like a mismatched pair. They kind of hit it off, and asks her to marry him, whisks her away, but she keeps being haunted by the specter of his deceased wife, Rebecca, and the story goes from there. I am super excited to find out what the mystery is of all of this, but maybe if I really, really chunk down on this, I can get it finished in the next few days. But if not, it's still part of my Gothtober experience. So that is, for a secondhand, worn around the edges book, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Next up, we have a book that has a plot around buried secrets. And for that one, going right back to the possession of Alba Diaz, because there is the whole plot revolves around something that is buried deep in the silver mine. So I figured that is perfect for buried secrets. And oh boy, what's buried in that mine definitely plays out in a spectacular way in the story. Hence in the title, The Possession of Alba Diaz. Okay, next prompt is a cozy fantasy. So for that one, teaming that back up with that time I got drunk and saved a demon. Like I said, cozy, she's a spice farmer in this little village and very much getting Hobbit vibes. The reluctant hero who just wants their creature comforts. The last thing I want to do is go out on an adventure. And the whole time she's on the adventure, she's like, I just want to get out of this so I can go back to my comfy life. And yeah, lots of descriptions of like little folksy stuff, family, there's stuff with her family, and then all the people they meet along the way. Perfect cozy fantasy. That time I got drunk and saved a demon. Okay, then we get into our standard prompts that happen with every Gothtober Readathon, regardless of what little chips you play when you're playing the little online game to get your prompts. First up, we have book with LGBTQ plus rep. For that one I selected, and I really totally selected this because I think I can get it done in the next 2 days and before the deadline, before October 31st. And that is What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher. That one features a non-binary main character named Alex Eaton. Or is it Easton? Oh boy. It is, hold on. It is Alex Easton. Let's get the name right. Alex Easton. They are a soldier, sort of, actually at this point, I think, possibly retired soldier. And they are returning in this book, which is the second in the series, actually. I read the first one a few months ago, loved it. And so I'm really excited to get reunited with all these characters from the first book. So in the second book, Alex is returning to their homeland, kind of reluctantly, shall we say. It's very clear in these opening pages that they're going back sort of as a favor to one of the other characters. And as the closer they get home, they and their not assistant, what do they call them? It's like a right-hand man. Let me see. Yeah, he was by Batman in the War is what they call him. So Alex and Angus are traipsing. They're on horseback. So they're riding through the forest to get to Alex's childhood home. And the closer they get, the more Alex is like, I don't like this. Something is wrong. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But I was really stoked. I knew, like in the first couple paragraphs, that I had picked the perfect book to close out the Gothtober Readathon because of this couple of sentences here. Autumn was nearly spent, which meant that many of the trees had lost their leaves. You might think that would mean that the woods had opened up, but if you think that, you have likely never been to Galicia. Galicia is where Alex is from and where they're returning to, not particularly happily. So that is the book that I am reading for a book with LGBTQ plus rep, What Feasts at Night by Kingfisher. Okay, and then of course there is the book with BIPOC rep. I have two books that fit that category: Possession of Alba Diaz, Mexican author, Mexican characters, and In That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, Black author, Black main character. And last but not least, we have book with disability rep. So for that one, I think that both Phantom and What Feasts at Night would fit into that one. Phantom, because both of the main characters actually have the disability of some sort. Already talked about how in Phantom, Scarlet is suffering from, is dealing with bipolar disorder and panic disorder. And then the main character, the male main character, Saul, also has a disability of his own, which might be a spoiler. So I won't say what it is, but also has a disability. And then What Feasts at Night, Alex Easton has tinnitus from serving in the war. So that means that at any time they can hear this ringing noise, and that's like all they can hear. So book with disability rep, Phantom, and What Feasts at Night. So I finished every book so far except for Rebecca and What Feasts at Night. I think there's a really good chance I'm pretty much going to get What Feasts at Night read before the deadline, which is in a few days. And then Rebecca, maybe, maybe not. So there might be some updates coming in a short or two in the next few days. But that is my October reading wrap up and how I fared with the Gothtober Readathon. I'm actually pretty happy with the books I got to read. I got to read several books that were on my fall TBR, and that were books I've been wanting to read for like a year or so. So I'm really happy about that. And anytime I get to read a new Kingfisher, one of my new authors that I'm obsessed with, because I think her writing style is just amazing and a true pleasure. Like I said, the first book I read by her, Thorn Hedge, I cried. Ugly, happy cried at the end of that book. I'm like, okay, this is an author I need to pay attention to. So super excited about how all that went. Let me know in the comments what your favorite book was that you read this October. And remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. And until next time, bye!